Hello, my name is Stephen Kilger. I'm the managing editor for Feed and Grain Magazine and the host of the Feed and Grain podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today as we dive deep into the issues affecting the feed manufacturing, grain handling, and allied industries. Today's episode is brought to you by the Bin Whip from Newmat Systems. The powerful dual impact Bin Whip removes the toughest buildup and blockages in industrial storage silos without hazardous silo entry. Learn more today at binwhip.com. Today, my guest is Jonathan Medemblik, Marketing Manager for Wallinga. Jonathan is here to discuss the 3510G Portable Emergency Bin Rescue System. This is a specialized pneumatic vacuum that was designed specifically for grain entrapment emergencies, helping rural fire departments and grain facilities respond faster when every second counts. We talk about how this machine differs from standard grain vacs, why rapid response is critical in grain bin entrapment situations, and how rural fire departments can access government grants to add this life-saving equipment into their emergency response capabilities. I really hope you enjoy the interview. If you want to help out with the podcast and are listening to this in a podcast app, please rate us and subscribe. If you're listening online, sign up for the Feed and Grain newsletter Industry Watch to see when new podcasts drop and stay up to date with all the news from around the industry. Now, on to the show. Hey, Jonathan, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem. Thanks for having me on again, Stephen.
Yeah, happy to. We were chatting at IPPE and you told me about this product and I'm like, I just need to get him on after this because this is something I haven't really seen before. But before we get into all that, can you tell me a little bit just about yourself and your kind of relationship with the industry?
Yeah, so I'm the marketing manager for Wallinga. I've been doing it for a number of years now. Manage all of the marketing related items for Wallinga, whether it be our trade shows or our advertising, social media, website, all that kind of thing. I've got a team of a couple other people that I work with, and we've building bulk feed bodies and pneumatic conveying systems for the grain and feed industry for over 70 years now. It's a family business, and we take a lot of pride in building quality equipment for the industry.
It's funny, as I get older too, people ask me how long I've been doing this, and I always have to be like, it's been 12, 13, 15, who knows at this point.
Yeah, it's been a while, and it never gets old.
No, it doesn't. I mean, I was looking up. I think we came into the industry not that far apart from each other, and I've known you basically this entire time, which is always nice too, as we get to age with all all the people we've met. But when I was talking to you at IPPE, you mentioned a really cool product that you guys had come out that I hadn't even really realized. It's the Wallinga 3510G Portable Emergency Bin Rescue. So the idea is this is a pneumatic vacuum, correct, that you can move with your truck, and it is a lot more portable than a normal one, so it can move through things. But it's made specifically for grain entrapment events, right? Engulfment and entrapment events to quickly move grain out of a bin in an emergency. Do I have that right?
Yeah, so we've had a small portable grain vac for quite a few years, 3510. It's basically a 4-inch grain vac, so uses 4-inch conveying lines. We've offered it in a gas-powered model and an electric model and a 3-point hitch model for quite a few years. But we saw a bit of a need in the industry as far as grain bin entrapment goes. And unfortunately, grain bin entrapment has been an issue for a very long time. It continues to be. Our racks have been used. Our PTO machines, our self-contained units like the 3510 have been used in the past to help rural fire departments and elevators and things like that do grain bin entrapment rescues and recovery and things like that. But we saw a need for a specific machine that was suited for rapid response. So we took our 3510 and kind of tailored it specifically towards the rural fire departments for their bin rescue operations.
You guys kind of saw that there was this need. I mean, obviously, people were already using your vacuums for this need, and then decided to design around it. Did you get a lot of responses from grain handlers, rural fire departments on what they needed for this particular type of machine, and what kind of stuff did they want?
Yeah, so we had this idea together with our sales team and our product development team and input from a handful of rural fire departments. We built a couple of them, right, and sent them out into the field and to our sales team and got a couple of different fire departments in the US outfitted with the vacs and custom built them to fit on a trailer and make it so that the hoses were easily accessible. We had it so that the nozzles and things were ready to go. So just making the whole entire unit ready to go at a moment's notice. And then we were able to outfit the machine with different hose connections, right? Whether they be a Wallinga hose connection or what they call a cam lock connection, that kind of thing. And then just adding things to like work lights and tie downs for safe transport and things like that. So the machine is kind of versatile, whether it's mounted to a trailer with everything ready to go, or maybe it's mounted in the back of a dedicated rapid response truck. That works as well. And then there's other things on it too, like the motor is fuel injected, for instance, so it's always ready to go. And that's a big factor.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think it would need to be because it's one of those situations where every second counts. So you kind of need it to be easy to use and flexible in a lot of situations. Can you walk us through a little bit about just like what would a typical call be? So someone hears rural fire department hears an emergency call come in. What do they do? How do they get it there? And how does it operate?
Yeah. So from my experience and what I've seen from the sales team and the different training sessions that we've done recently with some fire departments is ideally when the call comes in, the 3510 bin rescue vac is ready to go. So typically I think what they're doing is having it mounted to a trailer with all the hoses and all the equipment and everything you could possibly need ready to go so they can hook on and get on site as soon as possible. And then I think what happens quite often too is when the vac arrives, typically they're going to want to go in through the top of the grain bin through the access hatch at the top of a bin, and then they basically have to get the grain out from around the person that is trapped in the bin. So typically they would set up some sort of you've probably seen those 3 or 4 piece tubes that they can slide around somebody in the grain.
Yeah, coffer dams.
Yeah, or even sheets of plywood or something like that. And then the idea with the bin rescue vac is once they've got that coffer dam around the person, they can suck the grain out a whole lot quicker than scooping it out by hand or using maybe one of those cordless augers or something like that. So it just because of the capacity of it, it just makes it a whole lot quicker.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. The capacity has to be like the big advantage because you're right. They make those little like drill power or like auger things that people use, and you've seen people do stuff like tall shop backs, stuff like that, and that just isn't enough. Especially if they say once you're like up to your chest, you pretty much can't breathe anymore. So you really got to get in there quick.
If you're in grain up to your waist, you can't be pulled out. They have to get the grain down below your waist. So yeah, the faster you can get that grain out, and like you said, when you're up to your chest, it makes it increasingly difficult to breathe too. Every time you exhale, right, you push the grain more and more against your chest. So it's very important to get in there and get that grain out of there as fast as possible.
And it makes sense having it kind of permanently be on a trailer because originally my thought was be like, oh, it'd be kind of like, times of the essence. It'd be hard to get it on the back of a truck or whatever and put it out. But having a kind of dedicated rain rescue trailer with this on it, maybe, one of those coffer dams, seems like a really good solution for a lot of rural fire departments. It also means that you can hook it up to like a pickup truck, right? You don't have to worry about whether a fire engine can get out into a farm field because we wish bins were always easily accessible, but that's just not the case.
Yeah, typically that's what we're doing with fire departments is mounting it to a dedicated trailer with everything they could need on site to do a grain bin rescue.
We mentioned the portability a lot, but what I thought was kind of cool is it seems like it's pretty slender too, right? It's a smaller design, so it can do stuff like fit through doors and get into kind of nooks and crannies that you wouldn't think this type of machine would be able to do.
Yeah, it's definitely versatile. It's relatively lightweight. It's designed to fit through a standard sized door. It's a handy little machine. There's a lot of different things you can use it for. But I think as far as grain bin entrapment goes, it'll surprise you with how much grain it'll move for being how small it is.
And it seems like you guys have really worked on making it pretty universal, right? You don't need Wallinga parts or like, hoses and things. It seems like it works well with other equipment and it can be kind of part of an overall package, not necessarily that everything has to come through Wallingo, correct?
Yeah, and a lot of our dealers will carry parts for it. We typically on these machines are using what is called a cam lock coupling, which is pretty standard that you would use in the fire rescue industry. So
Plus, you guys painted it red for everybody, and that's always useful. And it could be used to transfer all kinds of grains, right? What about kind of thicker materials, DDGs and stuff like that? Can it be used to move that stuff as well?
not a whole lot that it won't do. You'd be very surprised at what it will convey. I've cleaned out pits with it and things like that. High moisture corn is not an issue whatsoever for this machine. And even lighter, fluffier bulk materials is normally not an issue either.
And is it rated to be used in dustier environments, more hazardous locations?
Yeah, we've got them equipped with explosion-proof motors and that kind of thing as well. So we've also offer high-efficiency receiver tanks on them too for things like a lighter, fluffier material. We've even incorporated or offer air purge style receiver tanks as well on these machines. So there's a lot of different options when it comes to the 3510 grain vac.
Which is good, especially if you're going to a rural fire department. I mean, I guess a large enough co-op or grain company could technically buy one of these and have it for their locations. But if it's part of a donation to a rural fire department and part of their equipment, however they get it, it just seems like it's for the community. So there's a lot of different commodity types and a lot of different situations it could be put into. So that flexibility seems really valuable, especially the ability to move wet grain, which a lot of these accidents happen because of, wet or badly conditioned grain.
And we've worked with a number of rural fire departments in helping them get government grants and things like that. A lot of areas in the U.S. have grants available for these fire departments too that make it a little bit more affordable to put together a bin rescue rapid response rain vac package, something like this too. So we've worked with some departments on that as well.
That's a really cool idea. That way, even if your company can't afford to or doesn't want to donate everything to a fire department, just seeming to be able to get the ball rolling, working with you or their local fire department to kind of go out there and start this process, look at the grants that are available. That seems really neat. If people want to know more information, where should they go? Where can they find you?
On our website, wallinga.com, there's a bunch of information available on this machine in particular, the 3510 bin rescue vac. Also, lots of other information about our other versions of 3510s. There's a place where you can locate your nearest dealer or even nearest Wallinga sales representative if you're looking for some more information on that. And yeah, reach out to us via the website for a free quote or more info.
And you'll know it is the 510G by it being red. All the other brochures are green, so this one's really easy to pick out.
Yep, there you go. And quite often we'll have one of these on display at some of the various trade shows that we go to across Canada and the US. So there's a trade show schedule on our website as well. So I think the next trade show I'm not sure when this podcast will air, but I know our next trade show that you might be able to see one of these machines at will probably be the Farm Progress Show. And then we've got Ag in Motion, which is up in Canada as well. And Ohio Farm Science Reviews is a good show to see us at as well. So
Yeah, you guys get all over the place, don't you?
yeah, do a lot of trade shows.
You're a busy man. Well, I appreciate you coming by and talking to us about this today, though. It's a really cool thing that I think more people should be aware of.
Not a problem. I appreciate you having me on again.
Happy to do it, and hopefully have you on again in the future. Thank you so much for joining me, Jonathan.
Yeah, have a good day.
And for everyone out there listening, thanks so much for doing so. And until next time, stay safe.